So the next presentation is by Ranjit on the textual analytics. So Ranjit is also a very senior enterprise architect. He used to work for Oracle for a long time, and then he's independent now, working with a client in Qatar. So I will turn over to Ranjit. Let me unmute you, Ranjit. Okay, so now you have the control. I think you can unmute yourself. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, so you can share your screen as well.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So let me show my presentation. Okay. I hope you guys can see my screen. Okay. So before we start, let me talk about myself. Okay, for first 10 seconds. So I'm Ranjit. I'm a co-founder of Softran and an enterprise architect by profession, and servant leader practitioner, where currently I'm traveling and I'm at a client location. And I'm really honored to get this opportunity to speak in front of this many intellectual audience, almost all are architects. Thank you very much, Suresh, and thank you very much, SNI Technologies. Okay. So today I will be talking about textual analytics, textual ETL, and textual warehouse. So you might notice here that textual warehouse is in limelight because this is the new word which we just gave to the world. And I have already written one book on textual warehouse, and it will be out anytime next month. Okay, it is in print. And so do you guys know this fact, which I'm showing right now, that 90:10? So this fact says that 90% of enterprise data are text, only 10% data can be interpreted by the system. So if you look at this figure, 98%, the stat says about 98% of the business decision making is done based on this 10% data, which is interpretable and analyzable within an enterprise. So 90% enterprise data you don't touch upon, you don't utilize for your decision making. So your decision making is how much effective it is. It is real matter of question. Okay. So still, things are moving on. So if you look at, most of the corporations, enterprise or organizations, text and documents are everywhere, and they are in plenty. Okay. Whether it is a contract, it is complaint, it is resume, your data warehouse, your call center notes, review, chat, log, form, social media, okay, blog, all these are text, isn't it? So if you look at one small problem with while you handle text, okay. So while you handle text, what is the major problem, practical problem you face? If you misfiled your document in a cabinet manually anywhere, okay, it may never be found again. Okay? In order to find any lost document, whatever is within your organization, it may, it actually is necessary to go through all the documents, scan it, and then you try to identify it. Okay. So the point is, before we go ahead for textual analytics, we should have the data to be analyzed, isn't it? And the moment it comes to textual analytics, what data are they? They are text, isn't it? So textual analytics before doing analytics on your text, you need to bring the text to a stage where those texts can be analyzable. You start looking into it, you structure it, you bring it to the RDBMS or make it or save it in a form which can be analyzed using any of your analytics engine or analytics tool. So before we bring a text, that text can come from any of your what you call any other source. It may again be a heterogeneous source. It may come from your hard copy of contract. It can come from resume. It can come from your various form, contracts, agreements, okay, and other design documents and all. So those data, the moment, if you talk about, consider a customer from hospitality industry, okay, like restaurant, hotels. So the text can be either in telephonic record form, voice recording. It can be a feedback form file from the customer. It can be a semi-structured data, like few restaurants even give a tab to the customer. And there is one form. They have option yes, no, and satisfaction level to say it in terms of number or a scroll bar, and a small text box as well. If they want to give some free text comment, they can write it. So those free text comment again is a text for you, isn't it? So before you bring this text data to a level where you can analyze, a lot of exercise and a lot of things that require to be taken care of. And those exercises are called textual ETL. Okay, textual ETL is a little different than your conventional ETL. Okay, how it is different, we will see. So there are phases. While we talk about textual ETL, there are multiple phases where we have some pre-processing phase, we have the processing of core ETL, and then post-processing phases. Okay. While we get into this discussion, we will keep this discussion RDBMS agnostic. We will keep this discussion technology agnostic. We will keep this discussion any visualization tool agnostic, or any analytics tool or engine agnostic. We will not talk about any specific tool. You can utilize any tool or any technology. So here, you can see on this document, okay, in any document, here we are showing one policy document, okay, insurance policy. Any document has primarily two parts, okay, identifying and qualifying, and the simple text. So there are, you can say this is typical boilerplate text. Okay, boilerplate means, it is repetitively used throughout the document of similar kind. So the identifying text and qualifying text and the simple text. So let me take you forward. These data, those identifying and qualifying text, we send it to the database as a, into your ODB, okay? And from here, for example, as I told, those data, your text data can be in any form. It can be in PDF, it can be in text, it can be in digital, in non-digital, it can be hard copy, right? So the moment it is in non-digital, we use the technology help. Okay? We take the help of the technology called OCR. OCR helps us bring those non-digital data as well into digital data, and then from digital we can take it forward to the database, make it structured so that we can analyze. Okay, for your information, I am going to at the end of this discussion, I will show you one example, okay, case study which we recently did, okay, for one of our customer, so that you can get a real life feel of this whole exercise. How we capture the data from source, and how we do the ETL, and how we bring it to the life by showing it or visualizing into any visualization using any visualization tool. So yes, a few members here can think that OCR, I mean, till what extent this OCR is going to help you for all this. So yes, there are certain limitation, like OCR doesn't outperform in case of handwritten documents. Okay, it does decent work. It depends. I mean, there are multiple OCR products, so which one is supporting handwriting and which one is not, it depends. Okay, there are few OCRs which support, I mean, 80% of fonts available in the market, few support 90% of fonts available in the market. Again, it depends. So there are different document types. We take those documents to the OCR through OCR and pass those data to the ultimate database. We classify the document based on a lot of property, its length, its repetition, how repetitive it is, whether there is sentiment into the data or not, whether what is the retention rate of the data. I think I got a question. We need to use NLP for recognizing the OCR. Not really. We are not talking about NLP at all. For everyone's information, NLP has a lot of what you call constraints, and that is why we came up with this idea of textual ETL and textual analytics using textual warehouse. Okay, it is quite unique, and this is the first textbook on textual warehouse which is coming next month. Okay, and this word was coined by me and one of the guy called Bill Inman. So we are co-authoring the book. Bill Inman is father of data warehouse, and he's a renowned American scientist, some very old American scientist. He has been into that role for last more than 50 years now. So it has nothing to do with NLP as such. Okay, so for example, once we are talking about different classification of the document, let us assume one document called medical records. Can you imagine or expect the sentiment in your medical record? I hope no. I mean, why a medical record should have a sentiment? But can't you expect sentiment into a feedback form or a review comment? Yes, you can. Now someone say that, hey, I want to see the sentiment in police FIRs, okay, police records. So I think it is unethical for police to capture their victims or claimants' sentiment into that record. So it doesn't make any sense. So similarly, the case, you can see few documents we have discussed here, that is contract, medical record, warranty claim, deposition, bill of materials. Okay. So for example, contracts are generally long or medium. They are repetitive in nature, and they don't have any sentiment as such. Retention is kind of long term. I mean, medical records kind of medium term. And if you talk about depositions, that is certainly a short term till the time the judgment is done or so. So whenever we talk about any text, okay, and once we talk about text and textual analytics, so we cannot leave the text without its context. Otherwise, the whole thing will change. Even the meaning will change of that text. Why? I will walk you through one exercise. Okay? Let us see two guys are sitting in a hospital. There was one doctor and talking to another doctor. This is a statement. The doctor says she is hot. What is being said here? Can you tell? So I'm just trying to refer context here. How the context can help you understand the meaning of a sentence and how it may misguide you and may lead to some different meaning. So the meaning can be a young lady is attractive. It can be, I mean, very hot in some city, okay, and the lady is sweating, or that lady had corona and she has high fever and she is hospitalized, okay. So you can see the same word has 3 different meaning here, and till the time you don't capture the context, you may lead nowhere. So that text has no sense. I mean, or it might be misguiding. So text and context are equally important. So we will talk about how we can look into such things while bringing the text to the stage where we can do the analytics on top. For example, see another example. A patient had HA in waiting room. So HA can be, in medical terminology, a headache. HA can be heart attack. HA can be hepatitis A. Now it depends who told this. If a heart surgeon told, that means heart attack. If this specialist related to hepatitis say, then it is hepatitis A. And if it is told by a general physician, it can be a headache. Or if it is told by the patient itself, it can be headache. Right? So here we look after, we are looking into homographic resolution. So it's a more sophisticated text analytical conundrum, okay, that occurs when interpretation of word depends on the understanding of who wrote the word. So in that case, this homographic resolution play the core role. So here you can see, I tried showing you the textual warehouse and conventional data warehouse. So what exactly the difference and how it actually goes for different purpose. So a textual warehouse is what? It is collection of business relevant text that is referenced back to its source document. Usually the text in textual warehouse also contains the classification of the text, the classification which we just discussed, okay, based on its length, usability, frequency, and what you call occurrences. So a standard, here you can see textual ETL and a standard ETL. This is standard ETL, which helps you bring the data to your data warehouse. Textual ETL will help you to bring the data to textual warehouse. So standard ETL actually integrates this application data into data warehouse, and this textual will bring your raw data to the textual warehouse. So who need this textual warehouse? Any enterprise organization, okay, who deals with text in their business needs. Okay, they certainly need, and they must have a textual warehouse. Otherwise, they would have been doing their decision making, or all DS or decision support systems are based on those 10% of data. So why do you build a textual warehouse? So there are 2 primary reasons. Okay, it is as an aid to finding relevant document and as a basis for analytical processing, which is the core subject of today's discussion. Either or both of these reasons can lead you to the core requirement of your textual warehouse. So how is it constructed? The raw document, okay, we create the taxonomy, industry-based taxonomy, and based on this taxonomy and those raw document, a lot of other component comes into play. Due to time limitation, I can't discuss it here. So that actually textual ETL actually loads and helps you load the textual warehouse. So all those aspects of, those nitty-gritties of different phases of a specialized textual ETL is discussed in detail into the book as well. So textual ETL is actually the taxonomy is the brain of textual warehouse. Okay, it is. I mean, what exactly is the taxonomy? It is classification of. So you can see at left hand side a simple taxonomy. For example, Audi, Porsche, Ford, Suzuki, Tata, Mahindra, Ferrari, Honda, they are cars. Similarly, we have at the right hand side, you can see many type of taxonomy. Taxonomy for car, taxonomy for tree, taxonomy for animal, country, and domicile. So we need to create the taxonomy before we consider any set of data to be converted from text to the structured one to database. So there are relationship required between texts as well. For example, here you can see there is raw text. Her Ford was made in the USA. So Ford is what? Ford is a car. USA is what? USA is a country. So this is the way how raw text relates to a taxonomy. So a lot of background activity, lot of background processes goes and during this textual ETL. So I have a proprietorship based even textual ETL product with me and Bill both put together. We developed a product so that we are okay. So lot of activity goes underneath. I think I have very short time in hand, so I have to talk about ontology. Okay, people might be knowing. Let me tell you in short. Ontology is nothing but grouping related taxonomies. Okay, for example, cities Santa Fe might belong to a state called New Mexico, and that belongs to a country called USA. Okay, this is part of ontology. So textual ETL, as I told, raw text, taxonomy, and other couple of element which we just discussed at high level, maybe one or two of out of some few dozens, and then the ultimate textual warehouse will be ready. So once you have the data into your database, after this textual ETL, you can do sentiment analysis, you can do correlative analysis, you can do a lot of visualization using different tools in the market. Okay. So you may think then what is the difference between a classical data warehouse and textual warehouse? So there is notable difference between a classical data warehouse and textual warehouse. So a data warehouse has generally a data model, and textual warehouse has taxonomy, and classical data warehouse requirements are mostly static, and textual warehouse requirements are always changing in nature. Okay. There are a lot of development differences as well. You can see at the left hand side, this is conventional data warehouse. This is your textual warehouse. There is difference between classic ETL and textual ETL as well that I told. So these are a few things which we take care while bringing the data from text to the structured form to unstructured to structured form. We need to do inline contextualization as well. Okay, where we have beginning delimiter, we try to identify these operative text and then identify this ending delimiter, and based on that we do the inline contextualization, and that we use when the text is predictable. Okay. Once your text is unpredictable, then we use the taxonomic resolution. Okay. So this is one example of taxonomic resolution. You can see here. I pulled her Porsche alongside the Toyota and commenced to engage. So Porsche is a car, Toyota is also a car, right? So there are a lot of things to discuss. Let me.
I think, Ranjit, there are a couple of questions. One from Sridhar. How is it different from content management system?
Okay, content management has nothing to do with textual ETL and the textual analytics. Content management is quite different. I don't want to unnecessarily get deviated. So I can answer you separately. If you want, you just drop me a note and I can explain it in detail. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't think there is any correlation with content management versus textual warehouse. We are talking about the data here which can be analyzed, which can be visualized. I will show you one example. I have only 2 minutes. So let me take you directly to that analysis. Just hold on. Take you to the exercise. Okay, so let me share my full screen right now. So can you see my screen? I'm talking about a very big customer, Accor Group. They are world's 6th largest hospitality hotel industry and Europe's #1 company in hospitality industry. So the raw data looks something like this. Okay, there are dozen of other different types. One of the type I just opened for an example. These data using textual ETL we convert into this form. Okay, we do all taxonomical classification, a lot of inline contextualization and other exercise, and we bring the data in this form. Okay, and then we convert those data to a form of visualization in this way. So I'm opening one visualization tool, or I think it is Power BI. Here you can see we are analyzing the data for that Accor Plus. Okay, so what is the average rating sentiment, which aspect generate a positive or negative experience for the customers. Okay, and here you can see when a customer has a positive experience, which aspect do they like? Like they like their menu. Okay, which word do they use to express a pleasant experience? They generally say great or good or excellent. Okay, and other aspects were this menu, services. At other end, when a customer has a negative experience, which aspect do them? Generally they dislike. Again, they are emphasizing on menu, items, and third, you can say third category. There, much more services, restaurant, and all. So they need to, those business need to look into this contradictory statement. Right? At one end, 50% almost people are saying that it is menu as a good experience, and others are also saying if they have negative sentiment, then also they are discussing menu. Which word do they use to express an unpleasant experience? Disappoint is the biggest one. Then blunt, slow, hard, average, small, this kind of word they're using. So based on these keywords, they need to work on their what was their experience great? Why was their experience disappointing? So all regions you can see here. The value, the average rating you can see in most of the cases. Food and drink got this rating, value got this rating, likely to recommend this rating, atmosphere this rating, services this rating. Okay, average rating is 4.13. So this is the way we get into the data. First, we convert those free text or textual document to a meaningfully analyzable database, and then we do analysis on top of it. So which word do they use to express an unpleasant experience? Is disappoint, blunt, slow, hard, and all. Okay. You can further do slicing and on top of this data. So I hope you got some sense what exactly this textual ETL does. Okay, and let me take your question one by one.
I think there is one.
I think I am running 3 minutes out of time. Okay. Can you provide an example of how homographic text analysis is done? Okay. Does it has some sort of data definition library? Can you please let us know the title of your book? So the title of the book is Textual Warehouse. Okay. This is going to be the first book in the world on this subject. How to do text analysis in document like resume that is not in any specific format. So format has nothing to do with this text analysis. Okay, that is what I tried telling everyone. So it is very new subject, very new topic to be discussed. It is I know this 15-20 minutes is not enough to discuss it. So any document can be analyzed, and there are few way data fracturing and inline contextualization and a lot of other taxonomy-based analysis. And for example, for resume, we need to create all related taxonomy for that purpose to pass through the data in related to that resume. Can you please provide an example of homographic text analysis? I think I had shown you the slide for classify the text. Will ETL processing for a meaningful outcome without cognitive technology. Okay. Cognitive technology applies to it. So yes, cognitive technology you can apply post, formulation of the data. Once you have a formal set of data in a structured way, you can do that, but free text, you can't do it. So I think, let me show you.
Look at the question from Sriram, Ranjit. These document types can expect some format, I think from...
How to do text analysis in document like resume that is not in any specific format. Yeah, I answered Sriram. I think that it has nothing to do with format, whether it is in Word, PDF, .txt, okay, whether you have used your qualification on top or qualification in mid of the resume or summary at the bottom, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, it has nothing to do with the format. For example, I'm talking about a level of free text. For example, you went to social media and wrote something about this record. All this social media data, the source data which I have just shown about this
okay.
Record. It was a free.
Can you put your email ID in the chat? They can reach you directly, and then you can talk to them. Okay.
So to everyone, I'm sending my email ID to you.
All right. So
write me mail here. So, and thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay. And you can individually write that mail to me. Like it will be great if.
Ranjit, while you are there, can you give an update on the healthcare, what you are doing in the healthcare group?
Okay, so let me update about it. While we started this group, during very beginning, we had a tight timeline. We defined a period to publish our, bring it to the floor. We decided to complete the case study. I already created one case study and shared it with Suresh to review and share with the whole team member. I think Suresh is working on it. Once he reviews, he will share with the team. I think along with Rakesh, there were 2 more members. I can't see their name here. It is there in my group. I will share it later. Okay. So, do you want me to share that white paper here, case study here?
Not now. I think we will.
Okay, it is ready. Case study is ready. We had a meeting. We had group meeting. I think we met twice, and we created a case study. I think you need to share with those team members.
Okay.
Once you are done with the review, please share it.
Sure, sure. I'll put it in the LinkedIn group.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Ranjit.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.